I'm about to show you one of the best ways to teach what you have learned. This will help you share the lessons and be rewarded by the marketplace for providing value. I want to share with you the process that I've developed over the 6 years that allows you to rank the information, summarize them, and then structure them in one digital brain. Let's get started by ranking these different information pieces. The goal of consuming information is to create a change in behavior. So the more my behavior changes, the higher I rank that information piece. And since I'm a huge nerd, I'm using a gamified ranking system that you may be familiar with if you have played like some form of competitive video games. If you want to go even more granular, you can think about silver and maybe even bronze, but no one really cares about the second or third place. So I'm thinking about gold as the first place, and then diamond and masters are standing even above that. So to give you an example of this ranking system, these are my top 10 games. And as you can see, we are not even reaching gold rank within the top 10. And the same applies to my top series. These are just like the best thing that I have consumed and that I've learned from. So if you ever want a recommendation, there's so many lessons in each of these. I want to give you an example and show you my highest ranked books. And let's dive deeper into 100 million leads. I generally have some overall thoughts and some main takeaways, and then I have the notes. So for the notes, as I'm reading the book and listening to the audiobook, I'm also writing down notes because I want to improve my retention by engaging multiple senses and really think about the most relevant information pieces where all of the stories are stripped away and I only have the raw fundamental information. From there on, I'm summarizing them because it's generally quite messy and there is a lot of redundancy in there. The summary tends to be much shorter than the notes. Of course, that depends on the books. So for example, 100 million leads, the notes in the summary is almost identical because Alex did such a great job in only putting the most relevant information into the book. So I didn't really have to summarize anymore. The same applies to the synthesizer course with Andrew Kirby. I didn't really have to do any summarizing because it was already broken down to its most fundamental level. From there on, I think the most important step to really be the one teaching it yourself, you have to structure that summary. So here I'm thinking about a way that the information makes sense to you because the author structured the information based on their own experiences, based on the story and the journey that they have gone through. But when you are the one teaching it, you'll probably use different stories and you have different experiences. And maybe some of that information are not relevant because you already learned about them in a different book. Or maybe there are ways that you can combine different chapters because it makes sense in your head and this is how you can teach it the best. So when I think about the summary, I always think of 3 levels that I want to include there. So the highest level is the book already. Then I think about the different chapters, and these chapters don't have to be the chapters of the book. And then the chapter is again broken down into the different topics. And I'm not going deeper than these 3 different layers because I don't want to lose my learners. And by giving them this context on where they are, at what layer of the information, are they in purple, in blue, or in red? This is how I rank, summarize, and structure all of the non-fictional books, communities, and courses. And you can get access to all of them in the Notion template below. But if you've watched this far, then you understand that just synthesizing other people's information isn't enough to save the world. You have to create something yourself. You have to think about the different information pieces, these blocks that you are creating, and connect them in a new way. And this is where I'm thinking about the general structure that you are creating yourself, because each of these information pieces are living in a different area. So whatever area you are specializing, whether that be your health or your wealth or relationships, these are the areas that you learn the most in. And from there, it is important to structure and think of different sub areas. So this is where we break down and niche down into the thing that you are doing best. And from there, you can come up with categories of your own. And this is where you start creating and mixing pieces in a new way. This is what Steve Jobs did with creating the iPhone. He didn't come up with the information out of nothing. He just connected existing information pieces in a new way and created something revolutionary. This process is how we win together. This is how we can win as one big community, because we constantly share our synthesis and our creation with the community as one larger organism. I hope that I inspired you to create something new, to really think about how you are structuring these information, how you're summarizing them, and how you're ranking them, and having all of that in one digital brain. Enjoy the journey. Have fun.